Hi everybody, in today's episode of VM-in5, we're doing a technical walkthrough to demonstrate the distributed firewall in NSX-T, how it's configured and how it functions. Are we ready? Let's go. Microsegmentation is a security technique that allows us to apply fine-grained security policies to data center applications at the workload level. We can then define security policies and assign those to the unique segments that we have logically defined in the data center. By default, the distributed firewall in NSX-T is installed with a connectivity strategy of blacklist. That means microsegmentation is turned off. Today's lab environment is your typical 3-tier app. It has 3 web servers, 1 application server, and 1 database server. In today's tech walkthrough, we're going to change the connectivity strategy from blacklist to whitelist, and that will turn on microsegmentation. And then we're going to create rules and add groups, and then we'll test our 3-tier application to make sure it still functions correctly. Ready? All right, let's get to the lab. I'm already logged into the NSX-T manager, and if we take a look over here at the security tab, and we look at the distributed firewall, we can see that we are currently configured in blacklist for our connectivity strategy. We have no groups or policies or rules that are defined as of yet. And if we want to test, we can make sure that our 3-tier web application is still working by pulling up our customer database from each of our 3 web servers, so we know everything's functioning properly. So if we jump back into the NSX manager, the first thing we want to do is we want to switch this from blacklist to whitelist. We click on blacklist, we choose the radio button that says whitelist, and we save our changes. And we can see that once we've gone in and changed this to whitelist and we don't have any rules configured, our web application will fail to load. And we can check that by clicking on our link, and you can see that the web browser is going to take some time to find it. And then eventually it will time out. All right, there we go. We can see that the web app cannot be reached, so we're gonna close that out. And now what we need to do is configure groups. So we'll head over to the inventory tab, we'll click on the groups, and we are going to add group. And the first group we're gonna add is our web servers. And we're going to set members to that group. We click on members. In this example, I'm choosing virtual machines for my category. I'll scroll all the way down to my web servers, and I'm going to add my 3 web servers into the web group and save that. And after I added my web servers group, the next thing I'm going to do is add a group for database servers and for app servers. All right, now that we have our app, DB, and web servers group created, we can go back to our security tab in our distributed firewall, and we can begin to add policies. All right, now we click the add policy button, and we're going to name this policy 3-tier app, and click enter. The next thing we need to do is add rules to our policy that are going to allow traffic to flow between our app, web, and database servers and our client machines. So the first rule we're going to add is by clicking the 3 dots, we click add rule, and we're going to name this rule client devices. And our source is going to be from any source. Our destination is going to go to our web server. So we check web server, we click apply, and the service that we're going to configure for this rule is going to be HTTPS. We select HTTPS and we click apply. The next rule we're going to add is from our web server to our application server. So again, we go to the policy, we click the 3 dots, we add a rule. We're going to name this rule web to app access. The source is going to be from our web servers group. The destination is going to be to the app servers, and the service that we'll add is TCP 8443. The last rule we need to add is from our application server to our database server. So once again, let's configure this final rule. We're going to name this rule app to DB access. The source is going to be our application servers. The destination is going to be our DB servers. And this time the service is just going to be HTTP. Okay, so we have our 3 rules configured. We have our 3-tier application policy configured. The last thing that we have to make sure that we do is that we publish our 3 rules and our policy by clicking the publish button. Okay, now that we have our policy and our rules configured correctly, we can test our connectivity by going back up to our browser here and hitting our web server. And you can see that it pulls the customer database, so we know that all the traffic is configured correctly. Well, that does it for this episode of VMN5 and this technical walkthrough. If you like these types of videos, subscribe and don't forget to hit the bell icon. That way you can be notified when I upload new videos. If you have any questions or comments, please tweet at me or the show, and don't forget to check the show description down below for links to everything that I've talked about, including the hands-on lab that I used today for this demonstration.